Yo, welcome to the Larry Ohh Show. We're back again. My co-host is with me again.
It's John Phelps.
And I'm Larry Ohh. We talk about everything FL Studio and music production related. We have some news about the giveaway stuff, first and foremost, before we hop into this episode. No guests, by the way, just me and John today. We're going to chop it up about a lot of cool stuff in FL. We got some really cool stuff to talk about and show you guys. But what I wanted to touch on first and foremost is I wanted to switch up the giveaway stuff. I wanted to provide a little bit more value to the audience. We are still going to be doing the FL Studio giveaways, probably just not every single week anymore, but there is going to be a major giveaway every single week on the podcast. So today, what we're going to do, we're going to try out, is I'm going to be giving away every single one of my FL Studio courses. That's my entire catalog of courses. There's drum mixing, there's drum and 808 courses. There's melody mixing. There's melody creation courses, vocal hacking course. You name it, it's in there. Top to bottom,
You name it.
beginner to advanced courses in FL Studio. I'm going to be giving my entire course catalog away to 5 people in the comments. So same situation. Comment the keyword when you hear it in the podcast, and 5 people are going to get my entire course catalog. So with that, being said, trying something different here.
Yeah.
I just wanted to provide a little bit more to the audience because they've been going so hard in the comments lately and sharing the podcast. And, I just want to give a little bit more. And I know one copy is still one copy of FL every single week, but at the same time, it's like, it is just one. And there's a ton of people in the comments that are trying to go for it. And just to give one away out of the hundreds, literally hundreds
of people are
comments.
commenting.
Yeah, every week. So it's tough. So I wanted to give away more.
Doing a little more. You know what I'm saying?
And still have it be like, feasible and make sense, because the courses are just there. I can do that and give those away, no problem.
Yeah.
And there's a ton. I mean, there's like, if I had to put a number on it, probably 50 hours worth of courses in there, around there somewhere. But yeah, I guess with that being said, watch out for the keyword in the podcast. Well, let's hop right into it. What do you got? What do you got? What have you been working on?
I just been working, man, on a bunch of original tunes there.
Yeah.
I've been heavy on like the mixing.
Yeah.
I've been mixing like the mixing and mastering in FL. And actually since, I don't know, the last 2 episodes or whatever, I started messing around with that wave shaper on my master track.
On the master?
On the master, yeah.
What are you doing to it on the master?
I'm just kind of pushing it up a little bit.
Yeah?
You know what I mean? Just going a little louder.
Are you using one of the presets? Because when I first got into it, and there's a drop down by default, that like little bottom bar isn't there. You know what I'm talking about?
No, so you know how it's like that diagonal line?
Yeah, that's all you see by default.
Yeah, and I'll just nudge it up just a tiny bit to give like a little bit of extra like push onto it. And like I haven't done a examination of like what the thing is doing really, but it just seems like it's making it a little hotter in the master.
Yep.
And I think like one thing that I picked up from you and that I think is crucial with putting plugins on a master track where you're affecting everything, because a lot of times you'll get when you're mastering just like a finished file because it's mixed the way that the person wants and maybe it's mixed the way you want, but really all that you're going to be doing is like small little pushes on each input or whatever, on each plugin that you're using. So if you're not doing too much heavy lifting on one, I found that wave shaper can just like push up the signal a little bit and get it to like hit a little way.
Bro, that's the key right there on the master. Like I definitely probably said that like a bunch of times. I say that to a lot of people too. I've learned that. I forget, like I've just been hearing that constantly throughout my entire journey. It's like, even if you have 2 of the same plugin on your master, you could have 2 fruity compressors or 2 limiters essentially doing the same thing. But by not overloading one of them, you'll get an overall better sound out of it. So even if you're doing like, even with EQs, you got 2 or 3 parametric EQ2s that are all cutting some lows. You're not overloading those plugins individually. You're kind of like spreading out that signal. And I always find that I get a better sound when I do that, when I use multiple, even of the same exact plugin. Or if you want to switch it up and get a different tone, you got maybe the fruity compressor and then you throw like SSL compressor if you have it, or the fruity limiter, but on the compressor setting you might get a slightly different tone, but both of them are maybe doing just like a slight touch with like a low ratio of compression
between like the so I've been doing like the soft clipper, the fruity compressor, and I'll just have that ratio at like 1:1 or 1:2, and then just kind of listen for when the signal, and this is on the master track, when the signal sounds like glued together, not too squashed, and then from there just like make up on that compensation on the gain,
Mm-hmm.
and then the soft clipper, but everything's just doing a little. You know, even the EQ, I'm only looking for like the most in the way frequencies. I don't do that much like EQing on the master chain because it can mess everything up.
Yeah, on my master, if I'm doing any EQing, especially if it's just a beat, I'm not really doing much besides like I'll just go to the EQ2 and I will go to whatever that setting is where just instantly it just gives you 2 bands. It gives you like the low band and the high band, and I'm just rolling off anything underneath 25 and then anything above like I don't know 17 something, like just the super lows and the super highs.
Yeah,
like you can't even really hear it. Like the human ear can't really even hear those frequencies much. But I guess like if you get on a huge system, like in a club or a stadium or something like that with huge giant subwoofers, like that you'll hear like a little bit of muddiness.
I've even heard people roll off like below 45.
Damn, you're cutting into the low lows
for real. But like I think that when I heard that, they were talking about like
in what genres?
Like stadium level shit with like EDM.
Oh really?
Yeah, I mean. They were just saying at that like
maybe
that
it's for a show mix, maybe
yeah, like show
specifically
mix
for a
thing.
show mix, yeah.
Because there can be like I wouldn't like personally I like when there's like that rumble in the song itself because I found that when I did that for regular mixes of songs it would just be like it's like kind of like thinning it out. It feels like
I've heard 30. I've heard people go anywhere
30,
between
35, like stuff like that.
I've heard 30. I haven't heard 45, bro. That's like I feel like
I heard that in like a dead mouse. Yeah, I think I heard that in
a
like
stadium or
mouse
something.
thing.
I think it works because like that makes sense to me. If it's a show mix, I think that makes sense because the subs are so big and
right. My thing is, don't they have like front of house like mixers that they kind of just will tailor it to like the room anyway?
Yeah, but like I feel like once you get into like a big show like that or a festival, I feel like it's such a different situation. If you're outside, they have to have a ridiculous amount of subs, a ridiculous amount of speakers because the sound just escapes, it just goes into the sky.
Yeah, those outdoor shows.
Yeah, it's so different. And if it's windy, it's different. If it's raining, it's different. No, it does, bro.
Yeah.
If it's foggy, if it's dense, if it's mad humid outside, it's different. It's all different. Just from like front of house engineers that I've come across over the years that like being in the bands and stuff and hearing like conversations between them and what they're talking about. Like one day I was like, you know, going to a show. We had an outdoor festival in like San Antonio or something, and it was so humid. And I remember just hearing a conversation with the sound engineers talking about, you know, what they're gonna do mix wise for the day because it was so humid that day.
Right. I love listening to those guys talk about their shit because like the live sound mixing, like my buddy was just like, if you want to be a better mix engineer in the studio, learn how to live mix audio.
Yeah.
Because you can be a good like studio mixer, but not a good live sound mixer.
That's 100% true.
But if you're a good live sound mixer, you can definitely be a good studio.
Yeah, because you're used to mixing in totally different environments.
Yeah.
When you're a live mixer.
They're fucking beasts.
Yeah, bro.
And the tech that those guys have, like, I know this is FL Studio podcast, but let's nerd out a little bit.
Yeah.
These guys will have like, they'll be able to kind of like read the sound profile, and they have like whole apps and stuff dedicated to like what those guys need, like just tuning speakers and all that stuff. Like, phew, crazy.
Yeah, when we did a lot of live shows and when I was in the band, these guys had some crazy technology. They would travel like the bigger bands. So the bigger bands would have their own front of house guys, and they would have this crazy setup where it was an iPad, and they could just literally walk around the room and control the board. It's a special kind of board. I'm not really sure what it was, but you could just essentially walk around the room, and they could also throw like test sounds out, like test frequencies out to hear the room and to hear where things are bouncing around and adjust it accordingly like that through the iPad. It was like crazy to me.
Yeah, they
and
have
this was like almost 10 years ago.
They have like their song that they play just because they know that song front and back,
Exactly.
and they're just like, this is how we're gonna like tune the room.
Yep,
it's fucking cool.
Yep, it's awesome, and they can remember it. They can have all these settings in it where maybe they have like a template where it picks up from the next show, and then they just have to like make some minor adjustments, whatever. How shape of the room, size of it. Is it wood? Is it concrete? All those things come into play.
Damn,
it's wild.
AI and AI and all that stuff is going to be able to like really help out that kind of shit too.
Of course, yeah, 100%. Because imagine they just be able to play something in the room, and the AI will pick it up and know exactly the dimensions of the room, knowing where it's like bouncing and echoing, and they just boom. All right, here's the AI suggestion, and then you can maybe tweak it a little bit. But that's why I'm loving AI because of things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's going to take over. It's just going to save you so much time.
Yeah.
And do things for you that like were, you know, like painstaking in a bit. Like they were things that you didn't really love to do about whatever job that thing, you know, that was. You know, I don't think it's taken away the creativity. I don't think it's taken away the personality from certain things. I think it's taking away the robotic shit that you would do to get to a certain point in a job or in a project, a beat or whatever, a mix. I think AI is huge for that. I love it for that.
Yeah. The tedious work, like a lot of the workshopping stuff, like I think AI is really useful for workshopping ideas. Or like if you have an idea for, like I'm not the nicest on like Photoshop, but if I can plug something in to like conceptualize it for like somebody who is, and then bring them that idea, then that's huge too. And that saves me time, money, whatever. Yeah. And it saves them time, money, whatever.
Facts, bro.
Because if, you know, I can't like whip something up on, you know, After Effects or whatever, but if I can plug in like a theme and stuff and make a quick clip, just to give the flavor of it, you know, just get creative with how you're using it.
Yo, so we talked about, you know, different things that we could do on the pod, and, you know, you suggesting that we maybe, you know, do some reactions, pull up some clips of things, because we don't know everything. We don't see everything. You know, we might come across a video here and there, it'd be really dope to talk about, and somebody's explaining it, you know, way better than I could or you could or whatever, and it'd just be cool to share some content. So there was a video that I came across. All right, so this is a different way to route to the mixer. This is from FL Studio.
So there are multiple ways to route a channel into the mixer in FL Studio, but here is one you may not have heard of. First, open the channel rack. Left click and hold this number box next to the channel you want to route.
So before I like get into it a little bit more, I never knew this. I never knew this way of doing it. Like what I always did was just click on it and then click the track button inside the sampler. So this is like 100% news to me, and I think that's why they shared it. I don't know if it's a new feature or not, but
holding type a mixer track number with your keyboard. The channel is now routed to that track. An easy way to send something into an existing track you already know the number of. If your keyboard is sending MIDI input and you hear sounds, you can switch off the typing keyboard to piano option.
Huge.
And that is all for this one. Happy music making.
Nice.
that was news to me, bro.
Yeah,
because
you just type it in.
Yeah, the thing I don't know and they don't say, and I haven't tried it for myself yet, I got to try it because I don't know if it names the track.
Mm.
You know, like I love going into the sampler and hitting the button. Most people don't even know that that's a button because it just says track right there and it doesn't really look like a button.
Yeah.
So there's two ways that you can go into and have it be named automatically. There's that way, and if you're individually adding sounds to the mixer, is if like you go to the mixer, you go to the sampler of the sound and you hit the track button right here. And then it goes into the mixer and it names it. So 808 kick, it automatically names it. The other way you could do it is if you highlight all of the stuff in the channel rack, and then you go to the mixer, you go to the next open spot, and then you hit Shift Control and L. Mm-hmm. And then everything that's highlighted in there will name inside the mixer as well, or go to the mixer and it'll name it automatically. That way, I'm not really sure if it names it. It doesn't seem like it names it automatically though.
It might not. That might work for, so that I love that you said that shortcut with the shift.
Yeah.
I use that all the time. And then also if you leave the shift out, it sends whatever's highlighted to the same channel.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So if you hold shift, it does everything in individual channels.
It fills them up. Yeah.
And then if you only hold control, it sends everything into
all
one.
to one. Yeah.
Wow.
So if you had like 3 guitars that you all wanted, mixed the same way, and they're just like panned differently on the mixer or channel rack, then yeah, the command or whatever L will send it all to one.
I did not know
that. And that what might work about that is like you can just label that as guitar, and then if you add a guitar in that you want to just send, the same EQ and same treatment,
Control L them.
And then you can also just type that one in, that new input into the the channel.
That's fire.
So then if guitar, boom, send it, type in channel 6 or whatever.
That's crazy. I keep saying it. I feel like I say it every episode, but there's so many ways to do the same thing.
Yeah,
in FL.
For sure.
I don't think there's a DAW that has that many ways to do the same thing. And people might say it's like too much. Why is there so many ways to do the same thing? I don't even know necessarily if FL was thinking of that in the past and be like, yo, we should make multiple ways to do the same thing in the DAW. I think it just kind of happened naturally like that. And what ends up happening is everybody has their own way of doing something. They figure out their own way to add to their workflow of doing something.
Yeah.
Some sort of shortcut.
And like depending on what you got, like if your mouse dies in the middle of a session and you got to go off trackpad, that sucks. But you also have a ton of hotkeys and shortcuts that if you're hip to them, then you know exactly how you can move around and not have to like fucking sit here with the tiny trackpad and all that.
You just made me think of something, but I don't have an actual mouse right now. I think the next episode I'm gonna do some mouse shortcuts. We have keyboard shortcuts, bro. We have we have keyboard shortcuts, right? The combination, different keys or whatever. Single keys. Those are cool. But what not a lot of people talk about is mouse shortcuts. So let us know in the comments if you want to see mouse shortcuts, and I'll just grab a mouse because there's a lot to do with the mouse wheel, the left click, the right click. If your mouse has extra buttons on it, like a gaming mouse, it has all these different features that maybe you can even map, but by default, all these different like gaming mouses have like cool features by default that nobody really talks about. So we'll get into that the next episode. If you guys want to, let us know in the comments.
We need a mouse count on that last mouse.
I know. Ding, 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 ding. Or like a click sound every time. We'll do it. We'll see if I feel like doing it in the editing. I'll do it.
Yo, funny as hell.
There was some clips that you threw in there. Is there something that you want to look at quick?
This one that the kid made on the compression I thought was interesting. Because he's like a young kid, and the way he's talking about compression, I just remember in a previous episode we were talking about how compression as like a technique kind of comes later for a lot of people, and it's because it's not like a very visual thing. It's a lot of like listening. And this kid, he almost like breaks it down in the way that you would talk about like a video game.
Okay.
So I really appreciated that, and I thought it would be kind of cool to show people at home.
All right, let's do it.
I want you to think about your compressor as like your audio bodyguard. So in this case, the attack knob on your compressor is going to be how fast the bodyguard operates. If you have too slow of an attack, your bodyguard might not catch the problem in time. Your release is the opposite. It's like the cooldown of your bodyguard. If your cooldown's too slow, your bodyguard's going to miss the next problem. But if it's too fast, it's going to leave the problem it's working on too quickly. This is where it gets a little bit more complex, but just hang in there. The ratio is like the strength of your bodyguard. The higher your ratio is, the stronger your compressor works. The threshold is how sensitive your bodyguard is. A really low threshold is almost like super hyper alert and active. A higher threshold is more of a chill and laid back bodyguard. All right, now the big question is, how does this apply in the context of mixing the vocals? So I know my threshold's at 0, which means it's not doing anything. And I'm gonna play the isolated vocal out just to hear how it sounds.
I don't really care if you cry.
When you look at the meter here, and this is what I'm watching, is there's certain parts that are super loud and other parts that are way more quiet. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn down the threshold a heavy amount. I want you to listen to this quiet portion here and then this loud portion here. Hear what it sounds like without the compressor.
If you cry.
It's a pretty big jump. Now with the compressor,
If you cry.
it sounds almost the same volume all around, and that's exactly what you're going for with the compressor.
Wow.
Kind of an interesting way of like breaking that whole thing down. I'm like,
That's an awesome way, because we have talked about it before in the past, and compression is one of those things where it's very important to know and understand compression, but it's also one of the hardest things to understand about mixing in general.
Yeah.
It's the last thing that I learned in mixing.
for sure.
EQing is pretty self-explanatory. You're dealing with frequencies, you boost, you
you
cut.
can hear it wicked.
You can hear
quickly,
it. Yeah, you can hear it right away what you're doing. With compression, it's unless you have a visual like the Fruity limiter. That's why I said on one of the previous episodes that I like using the limiter on the compressor settings, because I could see what was going on.
Yeah.
I'm a visual guy, and that's what really taught me. But the way he's explaining it is really dope for people that can't understand compression. That's fire to me.
Right, because when I was reading about compression, it was always just like, this is the reaction time of your compressor. And it's like, what do you mean? Like, what is that? But when he's talking about like a bodyguard, that's kind of crazy.
You can envision something. You can think, it's like...
He's more laid back. Oh, all right. So my compressor is more laid back, less reactive, less like on the point. You know what I'm saying? So I thought that was sick. I was like, that's cool.
Hell yeah.
That helps.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. I got to follow that, dude.
KMR Clips.
Yeah.
Shouts out.
We had a lot of really good feedback from the Guess the Plugin.
Yeah,
So-
we did.
Bro.
People love that.
Yeah,
That was mad fun.
I threw it up. I threw the clip up on IG. People commented and stuff on the full video too on YouTube. But on IG, people are like, yeah, keep doing it. This is awesome. Like a comments from a lot of people. So I think we should run another one. You want to run another one?
Run it up.
We'll keep it going.
Run it up.
Run it up. All right.
Run it up.
I'll go first, and we're gonna have to run it off the laptop speakers. You know, we'll do our best. So we'll do it multiple choice again, and we'll stick to whatever's in the pop-up menu here. I think don't go. You know, I could cheat and go to Patcher, but I won't go to Patcher.
Multi-layer, like, all right, guess every single plugin that's in this patch. Break it down.
Yep, you're 1/3 right.
Yeah.
Because there's 3 plugins stacked on top of each other. All right, I got the plugin. Let me choose a patch in here. All right, let's see. I'll hit a C.
All right.
Okay. So now, is that enough, or you want to hear more?
No, that's good.
Play a chord out of it or something. Or... All right. So multiple choice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it A, citrus? Is it B, sour? Or is it C, harmless?
Let me hear it one more time.
Okay, one sec.
I want to say citrus.
Wrong.
Was it sour?
Sour.
Oh my God! I was gonna say that. Why didn't I just go with my gut?
You made a noise or a movement or something when I said sour.
Mm-hmm.
That was like your gut.
Yeah. Fuck.
That was your gut.
You
should have went with the gut.
I know, because what it was I thought it was too wet. It sounded too wet. Because I was just like, all the songs sounds from sour just sound so dry. I thought citrus, because it usually has a lot of like printed or like incorporated reverb.
We're gonna run out of plugins at some point. I think what we're gonna have to do is like go to I don't know. Like we're gonna have to get crazy with it at some point. Because with just stock plugins, I think we're going to run out, you know?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
While you're doing this, it's keyword time. You want to pick the keyword this week? The key phrase?
Sure, yeah.
I'm running out, bro. I draw a blank, and then I'm like a deer in the headlights when it comes to keyword time.
Keyword this week is tripod.
Tripod. All right, there we go. The keyword for this week is tripod. All right. So if you missed it at the beginning of the episode, what this keyword is for this week is 5 people in the comments are going to get every single one of my courses that I've ever dropped. So it's over like 50 something hours of courses, and it's not just one person. It's going to be 5 producers in the comments. So comment the keyword tripod, and I'm going to pick 5 producers to win every single one of my courses. FL Studio courses, recording, mixing, mastering, melodies, drums, you name it. It's in there. Everything.
You name it.
You name it.
All right, back at it again with the Guess the Plugin game here on the Larry Ohh podcast. Let's see if you got a guess here.
All right, let's hear it. Okay. It almost sounds similar to the one I just played too. A little bit. All right. You got multiple choice?
Multiple choice here.
Okay.
Is that Sakura, morphine, or citrus?
Morphine.
You got it.
Yes,
you got it.
I thought, I went with my gut. I thought morphine when you played it.
Yeah.
For some reason, I don't know why, bro. I don't know morphine like that, like crazy like that. But yo, the first win. The first win.
Let's go.
The first win out of 4 turns, between last episode and this one.
All right, should we do one for the comments?
We could do one for the comments,
See
and
if
I'll
somebody
edit.
guesses
So
it?
the way I'll have to do is like edit it in a way where they can't see what we're doing.
Yeah.
So like I won't.
You gotta
show.
like guess the Pokemon.
All right, yeah. So let's do it. So we did one for me, one for you, and now we'll do one for you in the comments. This is just for fun. Maybe we'll incorporate this into the giveaways at some point. Like who knows? We'll we're throwing shit at the wall. We don't know what we're doing here. We're just gonna do it.
Do it.
We're just gonna do it.
All right, here we go. Guess the plugin.
Guess the plugin comment edition. that is. Because you can see it, but I can't see it. Damn, I don't know what that is, bro. All right, multiple choice for the comments.
All right. Is it A, citrus, B, morphine, C, sakura?
Is that the same multiple choice that you just gave me?
No, I think two of the three are the same.
Okay. All right. There's a really good video about recording in FL.
Yeah.
So I came across this video. Let me screen record this real quick. I had to dig a little bit to find this because I saw this a while ago and I was like, yo, I either want to like do a video about this, remix this video or something, because I've talked about it in the past, but it's been so long and people still hate on FL for recording. But I just think it's people that don't really know like that FL is this advanced now in the recording aspect of everything. So I came across this video.
I feel like everybody should be recording like this guy does.
Find your next open
By the way, I just want to say this before we get into the video. I'll restart it if I have to. But this kid, I think he's the one giving the tips, but he's saying, so this is just a little tip that I noticed because I break down people's content, right? Before we get into this. I think it's him, but he's saying everybody should be recording like this guy.
Oh yeah, I saw
But
that instantly.
But
yeah.
it's his info.
Yeah. Oh,
Right.
100%.
I'll restart it.
track,
Just a good
right
good
click it and go down to
I feel like everybody
video's
should be
sick.
recording like this guy does.
find your next open playlist track, right click it and go down to track mode. Next go to audio track, then find your next open insert. This adds these three icons and automatically routes.
By the way, if you're thinking that, oh, I have to do this on every single track, every single session, no. Create a template that has all this stuff in it. And then you open FL Studio up, you have a recording template, and everything's already done for you and routed to the mixer. Don't think that you have to do this every single session. You just create a template.
This playlist track to the mixer. To keep things neat, you should hit F2 and rename your playlist track. I'm also giving it a color. Now all you have to do is click this icon and select your input source. FL Studio automatically arms the track right here. Now when you record enable FL Studio and hit play, this input will be recorded. Say I want to keep this take but try again, I can hit T on the keyboard to bring up the mute tool, mute this audio clip, hit B to go back to the brush tool, and then hit record. I can record another take and FL Studio will automatically group it underneath the last audio clip. If you know someone who doesn't record vocals like this, tell them to follow me, please.
Follow me, please.
Yeah.
Follow him, please.
Follow him, please.
Yeah, because he's got some good recording gems. I like this kid.
Yeah,
What's
that's
his name? Current Content Co.
Yeah, that's
When I saw that video, I was like, I have to like share this information somehow. So I mean, this is like the
that
best
speeds it up.
platform to do it.
That speeds it up completely. That's almost like on some Pro Tools level shit.
That's what I'm saying. Like, people don't realize that, and this is in one of the last like multiple. This is multiple updates ago too, and it's still like you could still record the older way of doing everything strictly inside the mixer.
Yep.
I did go through some of the comments, and people were saying, "No, I still just use the mixer way."
Sure.
Whatever your like workflow is like, go for it. But this almost makes it more like a Pro Tools, more like a Logic.
Yeah.
In the sense of recording, because you can now link whatever is in the playlist to the mixer accordingly. And it's not just like a free-for-all in the playlist. Because essentially what confuses a lot of people about FL Studio is the fact that the playlist, and the way I can explain it to people like that come into FL for the first time, they get so lost when it comes to the playlist. And it's because I tell them it's like a free-for-all.
Yeah,
Nothing really
right.
has to line and co-assign with a mixer track inside the mixer. Pattern number 1 in the playlist doesn't necessarily go with mixer number 1. I can have every single pattern in track number 1 in the playlist, and I can have each individual sound go into a different mixer track.
Right. They're not linked like that.
That's where the disconnect is when people move from an Ableton or a Pro Tools to FL Studio and they're like, yo, this is a straight different language. That's the biggest reason they say that. But now with this tip and this recording tip, you can now assign track 1, track 2, track 3 to mixer tracks. And then, like I said, you don't have to do that every session. You create a template and it speeds up that process like crazy. And if you get used to recording like that, then you will record just as fast and just as good as anybody else in any other DAW.
Right. The only thing I'd say is that like with that block being the way that it is, where you have to like do all the like the right clicking and stuff like that, I just feel like maybe if there was already a drop down in there that just came like
you're saying
embedded.
like if you have to go and like right click on the track itself to do
Yeah.
all that stuff,
yeah,
track mode and whatever.
yeah. I mean, I think that they could just incorporate that standard, and it wouldn't be like a net negative for them to do that.
I know what you're saying.
Just have it like
It'll have just like a little arrow, just like a lot of other things do.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
like when you hover over a track, and if you want to like collapse, you know how you can like collapse the track to be smaller? It's like if you have like muted tracks, or you just want to make the view better.
Yeah.
That icon changes once you get to the bottom, like the lower left of the track in the playlist. So essentially, like maybe instead of having that, or having that as well as like a little drop down, or like a thing in the top left, like in the top of the playlist where you have that little arrow that's pointing to the right. When you hover over it, it points down. Maybe have the same thing and inside each individual track in the playlist.
Just so you know, like, oh, I can record right there. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? I think that would be huge. Because, I mean, people, like you said, people are used to looking at a software and it has that. So I think why resist that and, you know, try it out.
And I don't think it's a huge problem for people that have done everything and only have used FL Studio.
For sure.
But if you're coming from another DAW, and then let's say, you know, I don't know, you want to switch things up, you wanted to start like making beats, and then you know you start making beats in FL Studio, and then you're like, all right, I want to like just do everything in one DAW, but I can't like record in FL Studio because it's like, you know, it's a different language.
Right.
I mean, things like this are gonna help you so much. I think they're gonna help translate. And
What if you could do like, hear me out, like what if you like could enter like almost like, I don't know, like learn mode through FL Studio, right? And you could like, it would almost be like a portal, and you're like, all right, you know, learn mode, I want to learn how to record, and it could have a drop down where it's like coming like previous DAW. And I'm like, I'm used to working on Ableton.
that'd be crazy.
That would be wild.
That'd be
And then
crazy.
like it just says like, I don't know how.
Imagine the amount of work that would go into that.
Oh,
though.
a ton.
I had an
But it would be
idea sort of
crazy if it
similar
was
to
just
that.
like, oh, like I'm used to Ableton, so almost like maybe the image of FL like skin would change to where it's like, oh, like this is where you would record, or like it almost like mimics in a way, or takes the best parts. I don't know. That would just be so nuts.
I had an idea similar to that, and I almost thought you were going to say the same thing that I was thinking just like a couple of days ago. And I almost hit up Josh at FL, and I was like, I'm not going to bother him. It's probably just like too much coding and stuff, but it'd probably be too much. But since there's so many, but this would be like an FL thing, and they have so many tutorials, and they have I think the team and the means to do it. But imagine like a learn mode like that, right? But if you hover almost anything, and you know how like in some DAWs, it kind of, well, even in this DAW, it tells you like, all right, so if I'm hovering over a certain pattern, it tells me in the top left, it's the 808 clap.
Yeah.
Or if I hover over the mix, or if I hover over a knob, it's
It'll
telling
show
me
you
the
like
values of
commands
it.
and stuff.
But
too.
imagine if when you hover over something, it gives you the option somewhere to either right click on it, or you see it up in the top left. Maybe there was an extension on the top left menu. Boom, an extension came down, and it was like, learn more about this feature.
Yeah.
And it pulled up a tutorial, or it pulled up like somebody from FL popping up and saying like, this is the fader, and this is the master fader in the mixer.
Yeah.
You can right click to do this. You can, you know, adjust this by this, and you can turn this knob to go fully mono or fully stereo. Like, imagine if there was some sort of help. But I mean, this is a crazy
Just
idea.
imagine.
That would probably be
We're
like
in imagine mode.
we're in like fantasy mode right now. I'm in fantasy land right now. I'm in fantasy land. But that's why I didn't hit up Josh, and I was like, let me just keep this to myself, because I seem like a crazy person right now if I hit him up. Yo,
Josh.
you guys should just spend 10 years on this feature that I just thought of, because that's probably how long it would take. Either compiling FL Studio tutorials that are public, I think that would speed up the process. You could hand pick and say, all right, this person's tutorial would be really good for this one. Or like Image Line, as you know, as a company, we have some really good videos on this topic already, because we know like FL Studio has like some of the best tutorials out there themselves.
Right.
But they don't have every single thing. You know, they and we rely on the public, because the DAW is so big. People like me and tons of other creators are putting up tutorials on certain things.
Right.
So you could have like a curation team that goes around and says, all right, this would be good for this feature in the drop down menu. But like I said,
I think it would be nuts.
we're in fantasy mode.
If you took that and you said like, hover over that button, this is like switching over to mono or whatever. If you had like a preview of like what your song, shit that's in the playlist right now, it's got like AI generated like preview mode, where it's just like, this is what it would sound like, completely stereo separated or completely like sent it mono. Or like if you were like, suppose like when you open the thing, it's like genre, rock or whatever, and be like, hey, we noticed, or, you know, FL noticed that you're peaking on this kick drum. Maybe you could try like lowering it down like 2 dB. Here's how it would sound.
That could be crazy.
That would be nuts.
But it would also be smart to maybe have that be able to turn that feature on and off.
Yo, for
imagine
sure.
like imagine getting distracted a ton of time. Even what I just said too.
Yeah.
It would be cool. That's why I said like have a drop down that you could drop down and then it will give you those options and those like suggestions.
Right.
To like say, hey, we can, you know, teach you about this more, going more in depth here.
Yeah.
I think stuff like that would be cool. But like we said,
This is like
fantasy
nootropic mode.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where the nootropics where like people are like fucking.
If FL Studio
brain
had a
enhanced.
team of like 5,000 people, like me, you know, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
Would happen. But I mean, there's ways to go about things like that where you can outsource it to other creators that are already doing tutorials on that stuff. Obviously, like you'd curate it and pull in ideas from people that you trust.
I was mostly just thinking of like, you know how like Lander was
the AI stuff. Yeah.
where the AI kind of thing where you can preview like the final master. If you could do that with like certain features of like a delay, you know what I mean? If you like wanted to put this delay on it and then like hard hold click on like the insert and you hear the vocal with like that ping pong delay. I don't know. Instead of like soloing it, maybe you just
It would just give you like a little section previewed within the plugin. That'd be kind of cool.
that would be nuts.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I'd like that. Because there are some plugins that kind of do that.
Yeah.
Before you like print it, before you drag it out, before you do whatever it is that you're gonna do, process it.
Yeah,
Gives you like a little bit of a preview.
for sure.
You could run into like CPU stuff, but there might be a way.
100%.
There might be a way to do it. That would be kind of cool. Certain plugins to have that.
The biggest workarounds I see are like, the CPU stuff, because there's so much variable with that. And then there's so much variable with people's access to like Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So like certain things you have to like download before you get off Wi-Fi. You don't just always have access to. So like those are, I think, always going to be like the biggest workarounds.
I think, you know, at this point we can wrap it up. We went to
fantasy mode.
We went to fantasy mode. We went, you know, we did some reacts. We did the content, the new giveaway. Try that out. We did the plugin stuff.
Yeah.
We did the guess that plugin. We added a new feature of it. If you missed it, if you know somehow you missed the stuff, go back. Guess the comment the keyword in the comment section to win every single one of my FL Studio courses. We're gonna try that out. Let me know what you think in the comments. Should we go back to, you know, weekly FL giveaways? Because I don't know. I just figured that's only one thing that we can give away every week. Now I can, you know, hit at least 5 people every single week with all of my FL courses. That is gonna help. So
Just
there's
keep
value
dropping
in that.
comments. Just keep dropping comments. Let us know what you want. You know, let us know what you need from us on the podcast.
Yep, we're all, you know, we're here for you guys. We're here for the suggestions. We're here for the community. So,
I got one. What is something that you guys at home think FL should do, like your own fantasy mode? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is your fantasy mode in FL? What do you want to see done in the plugin or in the program?
Let's hear it. Yep.
Yeah.
Let us know. I guess, with that being said, catch us next week, every single Tuesday on every single platform. And make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share this with a friend if you get me.